Hey, everybody, and welcome to my channel. My name is Brion, and I talk about human stuff. I talk about the observation and the relationship to our circumstances. I talk about my interpretation of the human experience and why it's important for us to take in inventory into our own connection and relationship with the world and what it can say about us when we look at it through our perspective, because how I see the world is a reflection of me. So, for example, I generally don't see the worst in people. I always see the best in people. I always with students, with people I work with, I always see their magic, and I just consistently try to hold that up to their faces. And if I'm working with somebody, then they'll tell me what they want or who they are or how they want to be seen in the world, and I reflect that. I hold that memory, that testament up to their face. And when I work with people and I see something powerful in them, and they may not even see it themselves, I always connect with that first. I move people in that direction because I don't think, I don't think it works to have a system of fear. I don't think it works to have people that are engaged in that they live in fear more than they live in possibility. That instead of being curious about something and being open to discovering something new, that they fear anything that they don't know or don't understand. And then they've been told, and it's very easy to listen to someone, especially someone who we look up to or we value their opinion, or for some reason they reflect a part of us that we wish we could be or we want to be or we admire. And we're willing to overlook any of the bad stuff just because we have an idea of who they are. Now, I see this a lot in the entertainment industry. I know that when I was working in it pretty heavily, people would come up to me and they would seem to know me. They would seem to have an idea of who I was more than I thought that people would know. And if I have red on my lips, it is because I'm having wine tonight, which is going to be fine. But the important thing to remember is that we have an idea of what something is, and that the idea, the glamour, the majesty, the silver screen, the majestic is part of the story. I went to I went to a lot of red carpets, and I'm gonna go again. I'm gonna go again. I like it. It's fine. It's fun because I like to meet people, I like to talk about fun stuff like film and story and television and all that. I love it. But there is a group of people in the world who their suspension of disbelief, and this is the thing. The suspension of disbelief is what Hollywood creates. It is what now a lot of politics has become. This idea that we're painting a picture. The um the sparkles and the shine and this bigger than life kind of idea of those events and experiences. And we saw it with, we saw it with the memorial for Charlie Kirk. We saw the sparkles. We saw this show. It's theater. It's meant to give you the idea that it's something supernatural, that these people are something more than you. It is a way for them to separate themselves from you in a way that makes you believe that it's never going to be possible for you. Now, it being possible for you has shifted, it being possible for those of us who just want to be artistic, to live their life, to experience something really beautiful that's not this constant push and push and push. That's becoming difficult, but it's not impossible. And I would say shortly that in this saga will come to its denouement, the end, the decrescendo, the falling of the story narrative, and hopefully we're coming to an end of the saga. Story structure and story um, saga drama starts happy. Generally starts happy. It starts in a good place. It starts positive, and we can kind of see where over the past 10 years the story struggle, the inciting incident was something that happened at about 2015, 2016 inside of our politic. And then we see this rise, this climax. And it's kind of been like this multi-layered climax over time until we are at the place where we are, where all of the information, well, not all of it, but enough information is out. The questions have been asked. If you look at all of this like a script, it's freaking twisted. You couldn't write this, but it's being told. We're observing, and we're participants. Some people are background extras. They're way back in the back, not paying attention, not participating. They're just watermelon cantalouping all over the place. And for those of you who don't know watermelon cantaloupe, it's a way of moving your lips in a way on stage that gives the idea, the indication that you are mouthing words, you're participating, like that. It's an old funny thing for background stage performers. And where we are now, I hope, I trust, because I don't know how much longer the context of this movie can continue. But at the beginning of every movie, great movie, there is a question asked. There is a question proposed. We have given all the main characters within the first 19, 20 minutes of the script. Look, I'm not giving a how to write a script, but this is pretty much how it falls into place. And we've been introduced to all the characters. Now, this seems more like a long trilogy or a multi-series season series, but we are at a place where there have been so many questions asked. We've gone through the QAnon. We've gone through this weird, division in the states, the culture, this global experience, and now this very dysfunctional kind of, well, in bad taste Met Gala thing. And we've experienced human nature at its most detached, human behavior, human compassion at its most detached. And now we're at a place where the relationship between our humanity and who we're rooting for, there's no question anymore. We're rooting for us. We're rooting for us. I'm rooting for you. You're rooting for me. And there are these dystopian displays by these uber wealthy people that are just flaunting it. And it's unfortunate because there are things like the Oscars and the Tonys and the music awards that are fun. They're part of our culture. They're the Met Gala even. They're part of an expression of art. I'm not going to diss on the history of Met Gala because I think, first of all, I don't know enough about it, the intrinsic nature of it. But I know that this weekend was in poor taste for Jeff Bezos to have a considerable amount of influence over that. I think they raised like $42 million or something. I don't know. Like, I don't know if it was million or billion, which would be crazy if it was that much. But the celebrities, and I'll feed you in on this. There was a time where I was running around, flying, going to places, red carpets, getting put up in hotels, and being flown first class, and all of that there's a reason why actors are flown first class, because they are a commodity. Like, they are a part of the set. They are insured. So if they don't make their flight, if something happens where they're delayed, so production will send a car to get us. And then that car will take us to the airport. There will be a person that will guide us and take us into the airport, make sure that we're in there, and then make sure that we get to the, into first class so that we're off. Not only do we need to be well rested when we show up and shoot for 12 hours in a day, but we're a prop. We're a prop for the set. So, the value and care that they take for their merchandise is important, and that's understandable. I myself take care of myself so that when I'm designated to do a role, or I'm designated to be somewhere and show up somewhere, I got to take care of myself. And I'm not going to do anything stupid. Like when I went to Colombia, I wasn't going to go and do ayahuasca before I went and shot the film. I'm not going to do it after because I was exhausted. I just wanted to get home. But there are things that that this production does to take care of their actors. Okay. Anyway, things like the Oscars. I went. It was a blast. It was amazing. It was a dream come true. There was Lady Gaga was on the red carpet with me. She was right behind me. She tapped me on the shoulder. That's irrelevant, but I'll show you the picture later. The point that I'm making is that the silver screen, the sparkles and mirrors, and this is what's happening right now, and this is why this is not good. The people that are running the government are corporations. That started with Citizens United. That started with a Republican majority in 2010, I think, is when it was passed. And that was to derail a lot of things that had the progress that had been made. Corporations and celebrities are corporations, many of them. Rihanna, well deserved. I don't think anybody should be a billionaire. I just don't. I can go through my reasons on another time. But we have this strange experience, a seed planted at the Met Gala that was very dystopian. And for those of us who just want to have our plants, read our books, write our books, connect with one another, share experiences, go to the barbecues, have a life that's chill. Like, the idea of watching entertainers be entertainers is great. There's a relief in it. There's this idea of disbelief, a taking away, kind of live in the imagination of maybe. But then there's a lot of people who just want to live their lives. And there's a social pressure because the people that are making up the rules right now are the billionaires who have hijacked our systems of care in such a way that they think everybody wants to be them. Everybody wants to be them. And I will tell you this. I remember the moment. Well, I remember the moment when I realized what I was going to need to do to be maintain the next level of career in the industry. I remember the moment, and it was something about heat. My manager and agent were talking about, um, uh, does he have heat? So you're only as good as your last project, which is basically, it's kind of true. So the heat that you're on. And I was at a round table. The agent said, well, let's see if they win the Oscar, we'll represent it. Then I was up for a series on a show, and they said, if he gets the show, then we'll represent him. It's a matter of the heat, and certain people don't want to take the risk if, for whatever reason. And that's when I realized that the heat meant celebrity. The heat meant that I was going to be consistently in the eye of weighing my worth. Now, for me, my worth is valid. I proved it to myself that I could do it. And then there was an awareness inside a world of superficial that I didn't want to maintain. And what's happening, and for everybody who doesn't know this, when I was doing the red carpets and doing all that stuff, I had clothes, and my wardrobe person was amazing, and she was lovely and wonderful and generous. I had people that donated, you know, high dollar, really nice fashion for me to wear. I couldn't afford it. And then I started flying places to promote things. I wasn't making money to do that. The production would fly me, or I would get a stipend, but I wasn't making money. It looked like that. Now, later, when residuals started coming in, I was making a consistent residual income, but that was just enough to pay bills. It wasn't enough to buy expensive clothes and travel all over the place on my dime. So there's a suspension of disbelief. There's this idea that we hold these people to this place, and that's fun, and it's fine, and it's cool. Like, oh, George Clooney, or oh, this person, they really touched me. Their performance really made me reflect on my life. I've gone through a hard time, and their movie, their film, their television made me feel something special. It made me want to be the best nurse. It made me want to be the best teacher. It made me want to be the best me that I could be. Or it gave me an insight into humanity in a way that I had not thought of before. Experienced a part of history. Robin Williams and the Fisher King. The What Dreams May Come. Those are just ones that I think of off the top of my head that were so inspirational for me. I think it was Fisher King. And then recently, Hamnet. Hamnet was a film that I loved. There's a moment where he's I'm not going to give any spoilers, but he's crumbling the papers, and he loves his wife, and he loves his family. He loves them so much, but there's something burning inside of him that he needs to get out, and he needs to go to London, and he needs to create. We learn who he is. We learn why, because there are certain people that have this burning desire, and I'm one of them. And certainly to create a story, to bring people together, to inspire, to evoke emotion. That's it, to evoke emotion. And whether that's unity and laughter and joy and camaraderie, and I love that. There are some people who love the celebrity of it. They love to be the celebrity. They love the attention, and all that's fine. It's totally fine. Like, I don't know if Beyonce does or not. I mean, obviously there's a part of her that does, but I think she enjoys the show. I think she enjoys the music. I mean, you can't argue that Michael Jackson was born to do what he did. I haven't seen that show. I have a friend in that film, Michael, that's up. Okay. Anyway, point is that we all have a role to play, and we all have something special that we want to create inside of us. And then there are some people who evoke that want that. And like I said, you go to see a movie about this kid who becomes this doctor that transforms medicine, and it inspires you to think and know that it's possible for you. And so this information, these people, these characters inspire us to think that it is possible. And okay. Now, switching gears, shifting for just a moment. The reason why I said all that is because we get to connect. We get to um, learn that we are in this together, and we need to stop giving money to certain organizations. We need to um, take inventory of our values. We need to ask ourselves if someone is telling us to hate someone else, if someone is telling you that you are less than because of your orientation, your sexual orientation, your skin color, it's stupid. But they're going to do it, they're going to do it, and I'm not justifying it. But if you're one of those people who think that you're all that just because of the color of your skin or because of the amount of money in your bank account or whatever, fuck you. Fuck you. You need to shift gears because you're part of the problem. Okay. So now I'm shifting gears. I'm going to go through a couple of these and then I get tired. So now that I know how this works, we're going to do it. So this is kind of I put things to the side and then I have commentary on them. This one might be a little hard to hear, but I think it's really important that we talk about the male loneliness experience, the male, epidemic, whatever, the loneliness epidemic. Is that working? Okay, let's just see. All right. So this is this, and we're going to see if this works.
I've got a hot take. Hit me. So I don't think I agree with the sentiment behind the no loneliness epidemic. I get asked about it a lot, and I don't have a conclusive answer. And my thing come out with is that I think there's a loneliness epidemic, and then that's the ones who are finding it harder to cope because we haven't got the safety net of like an idea of how to socialize. There is a blended idea of what's comfortable to yeah, like an emotional vulnerability. Yeah. So that's what's coming out as that, right? But also I feel like a friction in the transition we're going through in terms of like gender roles in society. And I wonder because the consequence of our actions, the accountability required from men now is shifting, right? Like, what is okay, okay, technically okay romantically now is very different to what it was even 10 years ago. And so I think that some of that loneliness is because the pruning of identity, the gardening of the weed that we've grown to become part of, right? Like literally, even in my own psyche when I was younger, like thinking about things that things can do at the time were okay. It's such a disgusting process. It's like cleaning your toilet or like that. I think we know, even just a speculation, we know if I pull up a lot of men know their ability to be honest about what it was we were letting go of or what it was that made us feel sick. The fear of rejection and abandonment from the greatness, like, with the old whatever. It's so intense that we feel the way. I think it's hard to me that you describe loneliness as like not a physical loneliness, but a fear of, oh, mate, I've got to find it, something. I'll find the quote. I said that. I said, you know what I mean? It's a spiritual loneliness. Yes, because I think that like being a man at times can be fucking gross. But look, the Mario said, loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. It's about carrying words you cannot say and truths you do not feel safe to share. Healing is learning to speak what matters most. You're no longer alone with it. This is the work of letting yourself be seen and known who you really are. My theory, beautiful though, my theory is that the real burning in the transition is, I think, it's like the male consciousness that is the immediate response to like how what I started literally even from capitalist patriarchy. Like really like no, I think so too. Yeah, I'm kind of left, I agree.
Yeah. So basically, what he's saying is that there is a fear um, in our culture where we were recognizing that for a very long time. I mean, you could say in colonial, imperialistic, capitalistic structures, which has been pretty much 500 years as a general rule. We had the monarchs, we had the kings, we had this rule of the wealthy class, the aristocrats, etc. And it wasn't until FDR really they came along in the Industrial Revolution, after the Industrial Revolution, where it took decades for unions and writers and um, yeah, the writer strikes, for unions and to collectively come together and create this powerful movement, because that's the only way that people can get ahead is by collective. And so what they've done very well, and I would say that Putin and a lot of foreign agents have had their role in this to play, a dividing us with one another. The fact that when I was in Maine a couple of years ago, Portland, and in one instance, I'm in this very beautiful artist studio, modest but beautiful, well done, well kept, uh, where I was staying with the director, and then and then we went and shot in another part of Portland, which was just not very far away. I was in this where there was a camper and there was this "Don't Tread on Me" flag, and the guy was just as cool as anything. He was drinking his beer, just doing his thing and living his life. One was very circumstance was a very artistic, uh, books everywhere, literature. It was a florist, and then the other one was living his best life. Don't tread on me, and they're both great people, wanting to live very differently, but both equally wonderful people, very different. And as a, artist, as a director, whenever I would work on material, then I would discover in almost everything that I directed that there was at least one character that was so different from me, so very, very beyond who I am. And I would always hone in on that character. And whoever was playing the role, I would get with them and I would ask them about their experience and tell me about how you see it. Tell me what your experience is. How do you relate to the character? And that way I would learn, because I would need to understand. I was doing a play where one of the main characters was heavyset, black, lesbian, Christian girl from Southeast LA. You can't get much different from me than that. We can relate on. And so I would always find the thing that I could relate the best, the closest to. Inside of each of us is everyone. Say it again. Inside of each of us is everyone. And if I believe that to be true, and I discovered that when I was learning all these rules, I discovered what inside of each one of these characters is something about me. There's something inside of me that is like them. And then I thought maybe on a universal level, maybe on a greater level, every single person on the planet, there is something that is like me in them. There is something they are inside of me. There is a part of them there's a unique part of them that is also like me. And so what I just do is I amplify that. I amplify that to understand. So if I were to take on and the reason why this threat is so great, the reason why anyone who goes outside of the patterns of social structure, the reason why it is so scary to a lot of people, and in this particular case, straight men, is because they question, what if that's me? What if I am gay? Or what if I want to, I'm straight, but what if I want to paint my nails? Like, that sounds fun. I know straight guys who paint their nails because it's a way of expressing themselves. These men are very comfortable with their sexuality. They're comfortable with who they are. And what he said, I'm not going to play it again because I think it's a little muffled. But what he said about there's something they fear about themselves that is in contradiction to what they've been told, is what a man is supposed to be. And for those of us who I was like 19, I was 12 when I started really questioning the church I came from. I had no resentment toward it at all. Like I had a great teacher. I had a great preacher. Every morning on Sunday morning, he would show up and go, "Today is the day the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." And I loved that. I didn't have a problem with that. I had a problem. I remember the first time I had a problem was when I was sitting next to my dad in church. I was like 12 years old, and they were doing the Isaac Abraham story. I'm like, what? Like, explain this to me. And my dad was awesome. He explained, in the way that they explained that story. I was like, no. And then, that doesn't land well with me. And, my dad didn't have to question anything. He was 6'4". He was straight, handsome man, very loving, very, very wonderful human being. But he didn't, the rules were made up for him. And so what's happened, and then, certainly I didn't know any gay people when I was growing up, well, that were out at the time anyway. And what I had to do, and I tried to play the rules, guys. Like, I dated girls. I did love them. I loved the women I was with. I loved them as people. I loved them. I respected them. My mom taught me how to respect women. I love women, and my love for women was and is, it's out of respect. It's out of appreciation. It's out of admiration. I see what my cousin is able to do, and like my cousins, I should say, who they are. I see the women in my life being able to accomplish so much. I'm not threatened by that. I'm in awe of it. I look to them for guidance. But that's not a question. That doesn't question my masculinity. That doesn't challenge me as a human being, as a man, because I was able to break through that because I had to look at myself. Not only did I have to look at myself as an artist, because there was something in me that needed to fly as far away from my hometown as possible and explore and see the world and tell stories, and I was magnetized to the stage, and I was magnetized to the I loved telling stories. Later, I discovered I love bringing people together. That's my main thing. Whatever mechanic can do that, that's my main thing. So then, like I knew that I would have to come out. I knew that I would have to maneuver through my sexuality. But my sexuality wasn't the main, it wasn't who I was. Like, it was only a part of who I was. But it was such a part of me, and I think that this is the truth, and this is the sadness that we're experiencing right now, is that part of me that wants to love someone, that part of me that wants to be loved by someone, that part of me that values a best friend that I share my life with, which I have and I'm grateful for. I'm very grateful for that. But I wasn't able to shine. I wasn't able to shine my light until I came out, because it was such a closed shell of who I was. And then I tried to deny my art. I came out and I flew. I just flew. And then I got scared of my story. I got scared of how powerful I was when I went to New York the first time. And I think that, I was like 19, 20, and I went to New York, didn't know anybody. I didn't even know the roommate. I didn't know the roommate that I was going to be living with. We had corresponded. I met him on Craigslist, and he was I love this guy. And if you're ever out there and you see any of my videos, Bruce, I love you. I'm so appreciative of you. And I'm not going to tell you his real name, but really great. And I was young at the time, and I left New York too soon. But then I flew back, or I went back to Austin, and I was like, put my hands up to my career. I wasn't going to do it. It was too hard. Like, I was scared of my own greatness. Honestly, I was scared of the unknown. I was scared of not, I was scared of the lies. I was scared of the story that I was going to be telling myself, which was, first of all, that I believed that I was shamed, or should be shamed, and I should be, at the one point I was like deconstructing from the idea that I would be living eternally, and I would live my whole life with this fear of being condemned to, and then living my life that way, that fear. Oh my God, seriously? Then I realized I didn't like to live that way. I didn't want to live in that fear. I wanted to spend more time loving my brothers and sisters. I wanted to spend more time celebrating life than being in fear of what's going to come later. I want to be in joy. I want to be in service to people. I want to tell stories. I want to have fun. I want to laugh at dinner. And then going to, then going back to Austin, and then getting my Series 6, my Series 7, and trying to do the sales insurance things, and I was trying to play by the rules, tie, Oxford shirts, and the 4-door sedan, and trying to play that game. And I got my licenses and everything. Within 6 months, I was like done. I had not read a play in over 6 months. I was like, I gotta go. The point of all of that is, when you know who you are, and I think that's part of what he's saying. When you know who you are, had to burp. We had pizza for dinner. Anyway, when you know who you are, and you literally take those, you take the shell away, and you know who you are, then you live free and you see the magic in other people. And no one can tell you that this person is bad. This person is bad. You should hate them. Because if somebody comes to me and says, and in Hollywood, people have reputations, and someone would come to me and say, watch out for this person because they're not a good person. I would go, okay, red flag. Good. I'll keep an eye out, but I'm not going to assess my experience on them, but I'm going to value what this other person says to me because I have a long relationship with this person. They're friends. I respect their opinion. Okay, cool. Awesome. Good to know. Introduction to this person, and I can see right away. Okay, I can see probably what they're going to say or, why they think this. And then I look the person up and I go, oh, yeah, not a good reputation. But you don't hate a group of people because somebody with billions of dollars tells you to. And I remember I was writing with somebody, and they said, and somebody over in the car right to the right of us said they said was wearing a mask by themselves in the car, and they were going. I think we were in Austin, and the person I was riding with said, "Can you believe that? Why do they have to have their mask on? They're talking about their mask. Talking about their mask." I'm like, they're in their own car. We don't know why they have a mask on. It doesn't matter. How does that affect you? How does it affect you that person by themselves in the car is wearing a mask? Maybe they just have it on because they didn't want to forget. Or maybe they were going to pick up their sick grandmother and they just want to make sure that who the fuck cares? Why do you care so much? Why do you care if somebody has nails that are painted? Why does it bother you? It bothers you because there's a part of you that wants to feel something and express themselves in a way that you feel threatened by, because it causes you, it asks you to be vulnerable. It asks you to be something that you've been told by this system that you shouldn't be. There is a common thread between when Colin Kaepernick took a knee and peacefully said, pay attention to this. This is all I'm asking is pay attention to this. And there was this uproar. And there was a president who came along, and that was, how can that be so divisive? How could you allow that to divide? How could you let that divide us? Why couldn't you just say, all right, I wonder why he's taking a knee? Couldn't you just be curious about it? Ask the question and say, that's a pretty brave thing to do because he's probably going to get some backlash. That must be pretty important to him. And how does it bother you? How does it bother you that he took a knee? It wasn't disrespect. He was saying, hey, America, there's something I'd like for you to pay attention to. Anyway, so that's, I hope I landed that. And look, I've been around straight men that are really good. They're best friends with their girlfriends or the best friends with their wives. They're good people. There is a social understanding. And guys, if you're straight guys out there and you're not listening, if you're not listening to women and you're threatened, which I'm going to present one of my favorite current women leaders that are out there. Women are saying, or if they present themselves, it's like it's being in an abusive relationship. When you do this, I feel this. I'm just letting you know that I feel this. Well, why do you feel that way? You shouldn't have to feel that way. Or you turn it back on that person in a way that you feel threatened. You feel like them saying that is a criticism of you, and you're hearing it maybe deep down. Just ask the question. Maybe deep down, you're feeling like that is a criticism, that you're not good enough, that you're not man enough, that you're not capable enough. And just ask the question, can I shift? Can I listen? Because I think right now is a really good time for white men specifically to really listen. And and it goes for me too. I mean, as I was saying, I started that process when I was 12, asking those questions. And then I went through a metamorphosis when I was living in shame, when I was living in self-loathing. And I said, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be grateful for this life that I'm living. I want to love the planet. I want to love people. There's nothing you need to prove to anyone. And it's a sliding scale, like I'll go into my learned experience about, with women. Um, and I'll do that at some point. But queer women taught me a lot. And um, I think it's important for that community. And I think it's important for us to gain from that community. And I think it's important for us to listen to people. And just because a dude has his fingernails painted, which I do sometimes, just because I love the theater, but that doesn't make me gay. I am gay, but it doesn't make me gay. Person existing as themselves has no effect on you. I went to the Oscars So White, that 2016, Chris Rock. And there was a transition. It wasn't as shift as I think it should have been, but there was a transformation. There was a shift in Hollywood. And there will be people that argue with me that it wasn't enough quickly enough. And I'm not going to argue with that. I'm not going to argue that at all. And that's not what I'm saying. But after that, there was such a movement toward inclusion. And that's when we got these really phenomenal Get Out, Jordan Peele, um, these really phenomenal Black Panther projects. And that's for another time. So, this is for my gay brothers out there. I'm going to see if I can be as compassionate. Well, I am and empathetic. That's not. I want to be as. Oh, it's so weird that I'm an older gay. Okay, we're gonna do this other person's conversation, and then we'll go back to. I don't think I have. Okay. Um, every time there is a gay person comes across my feed, a gay man, and they ask about, they're looking for relationships. I don't know if it's the dynamics, but there's a lot of gay women out there that are moving the dial. What I mean by that, they're taking leads. They're talking about politics. They're talking about, and these guys are too. Don't get me wrong. They're talking about they're informing people about what's happening on the planet. That's at least that's what I'm getting in my algorithm. That's what women are showing up because it's important. It's important right now. So I'm not discrediting the gay men. There's plenty of gay men that are speaking up 100%. These have come across my platform a few times where the gay men are sad because they're trying to find relationships. They're trying to find love and connection in a world that seems, disconnected. I haven't been in the dating world in almost 10 years. I don't think I have ever been this tired of dating. And I'm going to try to get through this without crying, although I can guarantee you there's going to be tears. Past month or two, I have been in two situations with guys that have left me completely depleted, exhausted, and tired. I'm so tired. I'm tired of the apps. I'm tired of putting myself out there. I am tired of being vulnerable. I'm tired of getting my hopes up. Like, when is enough enough in our community, in dating in particular? When is enough enough? We're like in this warped
world now where we're always wanting more, always wanting the next best thing, downloading the apps, messaging 100 people a day, like doing Instagram, all these things, like it's got to stop. When's enough? And then you meet someone, right? From the apps or from wherever, and you think it's going so well. You're like, things are good. Like things are so good. It's always almost. It's always almost. You know, even the ones in relationships, they're not happy either. You know, most of them aren't happy. And I'm not knocking open relationships, but to assume that you have one fracture in your relationship and now you have to be open, that's the only way to survive. Or when I hear that other couples are saying to their partners, you know, there's a problem, we have to be open, or else. What happened to trying to build? Meeting somebody and connecting and having that chemistry and wanting to build something with that person. Gone are the times. Those days are over. And I try so hard to come on here and be positive and talk about, you know, changing your ways and being a good person. And I try to make it all of a polished video. And that's not what this is because I'm tired. And we want to all act like it's not a problem. We want to all act like this is just normal. The ghosting and the love bombing and the, you know, faking it and partying and the apps and messaging and texting and then falling off the face. Like it's exhausting, you know, for people like me who believe love conquers all. Like to me, love is the only drug you need. You find yourself depleted. In this community, it's very easy to feel that it's never going to happen. Like you were never going to make it to the finish line. And I just don't know where we all went left. I genuinely I don't know where we all went left, where this has just become our norm. This is just how we work. Even when you meet someone that you really, really like and you believe that this is going to be something, what do we all say? But I don't want to jinx it. He's great, but I don't want to get my hopes up because we're waiting for the ball to drop. We're waiting for something to happen. We're waiting for them to ghost us. We're waiting for them to never text again. Or even when you start dating and then months later you find misalignment or you find that they're not exactly who you thought that they were. I mean, it's just I don't know what we have to do to change this. I really don't. And I'm very emotional. I've been very emotional as of recent because I'm tired. Something's got to give, you know? Like something has to.
Okay. So, wow, you know, my heart really goes out to him. This isn't new, everybody. Yes, the apps, I mean, granted, I will say I haven't been out there in the dating world in, 10 years. But I'm social, I have friends. It's not new. It's not a new circumstance. And this isn't guys and girls, straights, people are going through this. And I think that sometimes, and I don't know his whole story, and I'm not gonna uh, try to, I'm not gonna guess any of it. What I hear a lot from, I'm not saying that he's in this situation, but I hear a lot from gay men. And I knew gay men when I was, in my 20s and 30s that put all of their eggs inside of the gay community. You're putting all of your I'm not saying he is, but your worth or validation, your significance inside of the gay community. And let me just share this with everybody, straights and gays and all the in-betweens. Your sexuality is not your identity. What I mean by that, I mean, it's part of the beautiful part of you. It's a part of the beautiful expression of you. Yes. Be on your path. And here's the thing. It's like, find your passion for the thing that you love. For me, my passion is film and television and theater and bringing people together and creating events and producing shows and bringing, like, having events and things like I love that. My the When I was living in Los Angeles when I was in my 20s, I spent part of my time with the gay community. I had friends that were gay. I would go to the gay bars and I would have a great time. I would go camping, like with a variety of different people. But my passion led me to the theater and film sets. My passion led me to to experience, to be around people that I loved. Like, I loved those people. I loved talking about Ibsen. I loved talking about Tennessee Williams and August Wilson, and I loved talking about, Arthur Miller. Like, I love that. I love talking about story narrative. I love when somebody comes to me and said, I have this idea for a script. And want to talk about this because this happened to me. I'm all in. What is your passion? Go and do that. Be that 100%. And I don't know what his story is. And he may be. I know I had my first relationship was off and on for like 4 years, but I loved that guy and he loved me. My first gay relationship. I'm still friends with him. I'm still friends with the girls. Well, I'm association friends. They know I love them. It is when we, and it sounds like he might be a Pisces. I don't know. I just get, but when we put our weight, when we put our, it may be a hopeless romantic. He may want to be loved to the degree in which that is at the forefront. It's a self-worth conversation or whatever. But when I'm walking my path, when I'm like doing my thing, the relationships that I had that were the strongest, and the one I have now, I'm married. We've been married for 5 years. We've been together for almost 10. And I met him on my path. I was at Sundance. I was at the Sundance Film Festival, and I didn't even meet him there. I met a friend of his friend who was living there inside a film boutique giving hand massages. And and then a week later at Sundance, I saw her on the bus. She saw me on the bus, started talking to me. And was like, you need to meet my friend Charlie. You guys would get along. And then this is a bridge story. So we Facebooked. 3 months later, he's living in Northern California or just north of Los Angeles. I'm like, you know what? I have a weekend free. I'm going to drive up the coast. Maybe I'll stop off in Ojai. Okay, sure. We hadn't we like text messaged back a couple of times. We Facebook messaged a couple of times. It just was easy. Our first date coffee turned into a camping trip, and then the following weekend I went back up there for 5 days. It was easy. Now, we're going to get to the dating, and this is something that gay guys get to do too. Follow this woman. Now, and anything that he's saying, like, all love, all respect. And this is the first time collectively that we can put these grievances out there. So I went through my first breakup with a guy. I was in shambles, crumbling, because I was learning those emotions of it felt rejection, not good enough, all this stuff. I didn't like how I was feeling. I loved him, and I still do. We're friends. They send me a Christmas card. I'm supposed to send them a Christmas card. I drop the ball sometimes, but I love him. His husband knows that we are friends. There's no jealousy. There's respect. There's conversation. There's communication. This is for the straight community. And this is the thing that straight men and women, and I'm not saying all gay people are perfect. There is a dialogue and a conversation about what it means to be in relationship that y'all get to have, because it is really unfortunate, in my opinion, that it is really, and I really feel this deeply. It is really unfortunate, in my opinion, that there is no room for you to be friends with your exes. And I know that's a hot topic. That's a hot take. But when you start valuing people as people And look, if you have an abusive relationship, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about we spend time with people that we love. My ex, my most recent ex before my husband, my partner, my significant other, he and I are besties. He's one of my emergency contacts. Still, I respect him. I value him. I love him. His husband loves me. There are straight men and women who have those kind of dynamics and relationships. And I think as a whole, as an entirety, there is a maturity. Now, these are more common in, I mean, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say these are more common in more urban areas because people are exposed to a lot more of understanding of the human experience than when you're living in rural America and you're not traveling the globe to find out that cultures that live differently. You are taught to oppress your feelings. You're taught that sharing an expression of your emotions is going to be make you less of a man. And you don't see women as valuable. You don't feel like you can learn from them. I don't know. I don't know how that happened because I learned from my mom. I learned some of the most valuable lessons of my life early on from my mom about compassion and empathy and strength and perseverance through pain. That's my mom. And that's what I see women as. I love Black women because, and there's I do a whole thing on that. I do a whole story on that. And why? Because I see them as wise. I see them sit. I see them serve. I see them relate information. We have to understand. We have to get it into our system that this patriarchal system has fucked us up. And if you are threatened by that, then please take some inventory. If you think women owe you something, women don't owe you shit. Women don't owe you shit. To the degree in which we owe women, maybe our lives, because they gave birth to us, because they loved us so much that they would go through that shit. Women don't owe you anything. They don't owe you dinner. They don't owe you an explanation. They sure as hell don't owe you an explanation for why after they say no. Let it be no. Like, you get so affronted. You get so defensive as if it was something personal to you that the girl would say no to you. Like, I've had gay men. Look, I'm not saying that there is a different circumstance. There are crazy people, there are awful people in all containers. The gay community, people who have to question who they are in a society built against them. Black people, Hispanic people, Latino community, anyone that's not looks like me, pretty much, in this society. And then women are reminded of their power every month. And there's a lot of guys unconsciously, deep down, exposed in our leadership right now that hate women because they can create. And the idea that that how we treat our planet, the deregulation on EPA and environmental protections and how we're treating her is in direct relation to the mindset of somebody that says, I can grab them and do whatever I want. Let you do what you want because I'm a star. They let you get away with it. That is the mindset. And you've heard them say it over and over again. They say, hey, I'll just take it. I'll take it. I'll do whatever I want. You don't see the relationship there? You don't see the relationship of how you treat a woman, how you treat something. How do you treat something? How do you care for something? How do you feel compassion and empathy for something? And if it just look at it. And when I'm telling these stories, I've got specific people in mind that I know. And I will say that, I've lived in Northeast Texas, I've lived in Middle Texas, I've lived in Arkansas, I've lived in rural Wisconsin, I've seen the gamut. There are men out there that know deep down and like have come to me and said, thank you for showing me or caring for me in a way that I don't think, I may have deserved or whatever. Because I think, and again, going back to what I was saying at the beginning, I see the good in you. I see the good in people. And yes, I have, I evaluate, I look at, I take inventory for sure. But anyway, so moving on, and this one will be the last thing that I want to talk to. And like, uh, be on your path, love something, and then we're like we're these are on video now. When I was going through my first breakup, like I'm emotional. I remember being in the parking lot just crying. I mean, being in New York and just sobbing, but I couldn't record it and put it up there. But I mean, in a way, this is good. Maybe in 10 years he'll go, that's what I was going through. And it's there for recording. I have pages and pages of journals. I think we're not journaling enough now too. Go journal, people. Like, turn it all off and just go journal. 3 pages every day. Just put it all out there. Important to understand that when you're on your path and when you're doing your thing, and that's how I met my husband. And it was easy. In between those 2 relationships, the 3-year relationship and uh and then my current relationship, though, I had like a year and a half of being single, and I traveled the world. I had I had relations with French people, Frenchmen, and I had like I just but then there came a time, and I had a lot of fun. And this is one that I really want to land to. When I was coming out, I went through a process of, okay, before I came out, uh, I had decided that I was never going to be in a relationship with anybody. I was never going to let my parents know, and I was certainly not going to let career know. This was short-lived because it was so oppressive. It was so sad. I was such a lying fool. I was isolating myself. I was lonely because I couldn't be in relationship with anybody because there was a secret. I finally had to tell my parents because I didn't want to keep them out of my life. And when I chose to come out, because that was the right thing for me to do, because that was my truth, that's the way I was going to live my life to the fullest, I said, no matter what, every time, and this is huge, it was for me, no matter what, one night stand, 2 weeks, whatever, I'm going to love that person. I'm going to connect with that person. I'm going to like acknowledge that that person is a human being that I'm in relationship with. Meaning, even if it's just a one night on the dance floor, dancing and making out, I'm going to connect with that person. If it's a one weekend fling in Paris, I'm going to connect with that person. I'm going to see that person as a human being. I'm going to love that person. And when we start doing that, when we start seeing it as about the other person, and of course it's about you because you've got to be at 100%. You have to be at 100% on your path, doing your life. And then there was a moment where I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm gonna be celibate for a while. I'm gonna go into myself. I'm gonna look at myself and journal a lot. I'm gonna write. I'm gonna do this. Granted, I was traveling a lot, And then I was in a space where I was like, okay, what do I want to create next? I've already done these things. Now, what are the things that I want to create next? Okay. I want to up level my career. I want to get a great manager, and I want a partner. I was ready again for being open to being connected with a partner. It was like a month and a half later, and I started like in my environment, I started preparing space emotionally for that person. I just started on a metaphysical level opening my space, which meant, my closet, and, I had a big bed, so I slept on one side of the bed, not deliberately, but like unconsciously, I was opening space and available, but nothing about me was going to change to fit them because I was on my path. That person that I would meet would be on my path. I would be in the movement forward. I would be at 100% and they would be at 100%. And then I didn't have expectations. I had standards. I'll go into those at some point. But those standards were met. I asked certain questions. I asked right away. And I did this with everyone. What is your status? I want, like, and then the other, like, what is, and are you texting me back? Are you at your word? So when I went up to meet him, he was at his word. He was there. He texted me back. It was easy. We had a great conversation. It was lovely. All the things. I was dated another person before that for like 2 weeks, but he wasn't texting me back. He wasn't like responsive. I was like, is there something going on? Like, is there something that you just don't want to tell me? And yeah, sure enough, there was something he didn't want to tell me. He's like, I'm really sorry. Like, I don't want to tell you this, I'm like, well, you got to at some point, but that was lack of integrity. So I was like, if you don't, like, you get to own who you are. Own who you are. The right person is going to love you for that. Own who you are. Be it yourself 100%, no matter what. Just be 100% you. And do the things. I was talking to another friend of mine who went out to LA to do work in film, but they spent their entire time inside the gay community, and they were looking for validation. This was a few years ago that I was talking to this person, and looking for validation inside the gay community. And I'm like, why are you spending time here? You're an artist, you're a painter, Why are you finding, like, that's the gay community is doctors and lawyers and servers and like janitors, and like there's all these different, the one thing that we have in common is that we love great music, we love good fashion, for the most part, we love, like, and we're gay. Like, we're gay. But if you love art, or if you're an artist, go where the artists are. Be on your path and you will find that relationship, That's it. I think, yeah, get off the apps for sure. Like, you don't, like, that's not where, and I always found these people in person. My relationships are always in person. Just double checking on all that. Yeah. Yeah. I met every one of them in person. Well, I met this one via another person in person, whatever, but it wasn't an app. We connected through Facebook after somebody had introduced us. All I'm saying is, yeah, get off the apps. Go and talk to somebody. And I don't know, like, I'm in Chicago now. There's a different, New York and Chicago and LA, they all have there's a different social vibe. New York is direct. There's no question. Chicago, there's this weird, like, I don't know, there's something weird. I'm not going to go into it, but LA, it's direct. It's people are comfortable with who they are. Yeah, there's shitty players for sure. There's people that are not good people. There are people that are not good people, and no matter what sex you are or orientation you are, be on your path. Okay. I'm going to start doing this on Twitch too, because this is fun. And, all right, you guys, all guys, gay, straight, angry with the world, loving the world, whatever. You must have the opportunity to reflect on yourself by watching this woman. If you are a man who tends to be angry at the world or easily defensive, or you don't respect women, or you think that you do, but this is challenging. This is powerful. Now I'm going to play one. She does a great job. It is amazing to me that men would come into her section. No matter how I say that's not gonna. Anyway, that men would come into her feed, and then they would deliberately be offended and not listen. Why would you go into somebody else's environment and not just listen? Now, these men are trying to defend themselves and and she mocks them. She puts it right up there. She says no. And you'll see how immediately defensive they'll come in. And even at the beginning, they'll come in and they'll be just disrespectful right away, like on defense right away. A lot of them. If you are a man and you want to be friends, which you should, women are amazing to be friends with. It's a sad circumstance where you can't, that you like, what do you see? How do you see women? What do they, that they're there to serve you, that they're to like be of service to you? Where does this come from? Like, I'm so glad I'm gay because I understand. I appreciate women. I'm not saying like there are some, and there is a lot of questions too, especially in this GOP right now. Like the hatred of women to such a degree, and then there's this weird homoeroticism and homophobia paired with it's all shame. You guys, it's all shame. It's self-loathing, shame, fear of the unknown, fear of self. Oh, it's so exhausting. It's like so many people fucking suffer because men feel inadequate to a system that we don't have to be a part of. We don't any longer have to live in. And if you don't get that, if you are frustrated and angry or feel like you're alone or you feel like people don't get you, believe me, my biggest trigger is being misunderstood. Like my whole life, there is a reason why there are so many wars. If you can't see that as a result of this, there's a reason why there are so many situations and abuse. This is not natural. I mean, maybe it is, but it is not. It doesn't. When we live in a matriarchal society, and she gives a really good example. This is Canadia's dating coach. She's awesome, Chantel. Matriarchy is a system in which the best person is at the helm, and everything in all of the immediate culture, the microculture, the subculture, the family, the service, the attention, the care is for the children, is for the creation. It's for for the best for all people, because when we serve the best for all people, we're taking care of our planet. So we have, and then we have the PPP, planet, people, and then profit, or planet, people, then, monetary, in that order. Because when the planet's taken care of, when we take care of her, then abundance is flourishing. She's going to take care of us. And then people, children in this case, we take care of them. You really think that this administration cares for kids? I had to burp again. Okay. It doesn't mean that a woman necessarily has to be at the helm of it. That's not what we're saying. But you can look at great leaders. You look at the ones that are leading countries right now: Mexico, New Zealand. I think she's still there. The women leaders, they're getting shit done. And they're not boasting and just, look at my weapons. It is a sad state of affairs that people are being harmed because of this stupidity. Yep. Okay. All right. I'm going to play this and then I'll be done. I'm way past my bedtime.
Body count doesn't matter.
Oh, that's my debate topic. It's a facts over feelings debate, not an individualized debate. I don't debate you on you because I'm not here to change you in any way, shape, or form. We debate this in a factual or scientific way only. Start a sentence with I think, I feel, my opinion, my experience. Kevin, are you here for a facts over feelings debate? Yes or no?
Yes.
A little bit
I
of
have
ground
sources to back up my claim as well.
A little bit of ground rules before we start it.
Okay. This guy starts out in a good way, but like he comes in with just this arrogance. And now don't give me you think she's arrogant too. She mocks him. It's her fucking channel. He's coming in defensively. He's coming in I should say in offense. His beingness is defensive, but he's coming in offensively. Does that make sense? Whatever, if it doesn't.
Title.
Okay, so she basically has her rules. We're not going to get into emotions, feelings. We're not going to get into I think. We're not getting into any of that. What is the peer-reviewed article, the peer-reviewed thing that you're presenting? What is the article? Where is it? And so she's got people that follow up. But okay, I'm going to shut up so you can hear it.
You bring that to us first. We'll go find what you found, and then you can make your claim out loud. And this is how we make sure there's no amplification of lies, fear mongering, or disinformation. Is that fair? I'll let you go first. What do you have? Facts or science?
Facts.
Fact. What's your fact?
Yes, a woman who have a high.
Okay, and I love how she's there. Here's my information. These are the rules. These are the boundaries. This is it. And she's listening to him. She's observing him. She's listening to his tone. She's like, okay, well, we're observing. We're not threatening yet. She's paying attention. I mean, she's been doing this for a long time, so she obviously knows, but
Body count suffer from substance dependency, high levels, unlike men who do.
That's a statistic. That's a science, not a fact.
That's a fact.
No. You're bringing a statistic. What's the title of peer-reviewed study?
Yeah, I can drop the PMID handle below. Do you believe the National Institute of Health is a credible source?
Listen. I'm not here for illiterate people who copy paste from the podcast, bro. I said title, website, page number, paragraph number, where that study said safe consensual sex has a negative result. What is
Yeah,
it?
do you know what a PMID handle is?
he's getting cocky. You don't know.
It's not.
So he comes in right away onto her channel telling her it's not rocket science. He doesn't get it. And see, guys, look, if you're approaching women this way, then go fuck yourself. If you're not there to ask questions, to listen, to observe, to hear other women that come in, if you want an ass whooping, and which a lot of you motherfuckers do, by the way, a lot of you motherfuckers want, like, I know somebody who was with somebody for a while, and it was a dear friend of mine, and they were married, and it was a friend of mine, and she lived in Oregon, and her husband was real redneck, and they were like she was from like Ontario, like Canada, and then they got married, and he was just